Well, good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana weather. Thanks for logging on here to this severe weather update. It is a severe weather alert day around the area, folks. Stay aware, folks. The severe weather threat is increasing for some of us. We'll talk about that in detail here in just a second. We're sponsored today by Welps Farm and Greenhouse. Visit them on the web, whelpsfarmandgreenhouse.com. Today's not an ideal day for planting, folks, but we'll have plenty of days coming up that will be. If you need vegetables for your garden, if you need perennials, annuals in your floral arrangements, things to put in your landscaping, grass seed, straw for your if you're redoing your lawn, so much more, folks. Give them a call at 326-2709, 812 area code. They're in Birdseye, Indiana, folks, 7907 East State Road 64 in Birdseye, Indiana. Visit them, give them a call, tell them Southern Indiana Weather sent you, whelpsfarmandgreenhouse.com. All right, going back to our radar here in motion, folks. You can see this first wave of storms sort of moving through here. We'll have some drying out that occurs through this afternoon. It'll be more scattered than sort of widely numerous like what we have right now. Notice the motion here, though, out to our west. You can see there is that low pressure. I've put the isobars on here, too. You can see that low is starting to widen out a little bit more. It's not quite as tight as it used to be. And it is weakening, but it could still be a potent low by the time it comes through. The cold front is out here, but the warm front is what concerns us, I should say. And the warm front, if I just put the winds here on the data, well, you can partially see it as where it's bisecting. It's already 61 in Paducah, 57 there in Henderson, 55 in Evansville, and 52 there in the Huntingburg Airport. You can really see that lined up, but if I put the wind speeds on it, you can definitely see that warm front where it's at. Ahead of the warm front, we're more out of the east, we're more out of the southeast behind the warm front. So what you can see is the warm front is sort of right around in here at this point, and it will continue to advance into the area a little bit more. It is going to stall out today, and this low pressure will then ride along that warm frontal boundary, which will give us a chance for some severe weather. So the big question that remains today then, where exactly does it stall out? We are still waiting to see that. But as of right now, our best guess, here's what the Storm Prediction Center puts here for an enhanced risk of severe weather categorically for a good chunk here of all of southwestern Indiana, basically. And then it extends here to right around the Louisville area and up to around Vincennes, and then points to the east. Slight risk here in the yellow, and then it falls off to a marginal risk. Let's talk about that's categorically. Let's talk about probabilistically. Let's talk about our threats today. Here's the tornado parameters from the Storm Prediction Center, and again, that enhanced risk is a 5% tornado threat. That is a pretty significant threat. 5% doesn't seem like much, but from the SPC, a 5% tornado threat, if you've been around to know these things and followed these before, that's a fairly significant threat. So there is a real possibility of a few tornadoes today, and that's something that we are going to keep an eye on. All right, let's take a look at your wind threat. The wind threat is a little bit lower. Damaging winds, these are straight line winds. It's all a slight risk here for us, 15%, but it is a upper end slight risk, an enhanced risk there, 30% just to the southwest, kind of borders Evansville and goes down to Kentucky. Hail being the other thing that we look at, and hail is a very strong possibility today. The Louisville National Weather Service actually put out a product earlier today saying that hail up to the size of golf balls or softballs could be possible today. So hail is a very strong threat. In fact, the hatched area is where the strongest hail is expected to fall by the Storm Prediction Center. And you can see that does come over right around our area, at least for some of us. So this is a severe weather alert day. We're going to have to keep an eye on this, folks. And if we just very quickly take a look at the wording of the Storm Prediction Center, I want to show you this as well. Look at their wording here. Pardon me, I'm kind of fighting a sinus infection, so if I sound a little stuffed up, my apologies. 50 knots, 700 to 500 millibar westerly wind suggests, here you don't have to understand all that, but listen to this, suggests a likelihood for scattered supercells with hail, locally damaging winds, and a few tornadoes, especially along the stationary front extending east-southeast from the Missouri surface low into southern Illinois, southwest Indiana, and western northern Kentucky. In other words, that's that warm front that's going to stall out and become more of a stationary front. Right along and just south of that is where the biggest threat is, as I've been saying. That's what they're saying. And look at this. Loss of surface heating, storm mergers, continued weakening of the upper low should foster fairly rapid weakening of storms after sunset. So that's a good thing. This is not going to be one of those type of systems where we got to go late into the night for it. The best chance for storms this afternoon is going to be, say, from maybe 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I really think it's probably going to be after that, 2 or 3 is probably going to be more reasonable. Get into the heat of the day and then onward into the evening once the sun sets around 8 p.m. or so tonight. Well, after that, it should fall off pretty rapidly. So it's going to be an afternoon and early evening thing from the way things look to me right now. Let's time it out very quickly here. I don't want to get too long in the video, but I want to time it out here on Future Radar for you. Here's where we're at right now. This is the HER model. It's the highest res model that we have. Those are the showers moving out of the area now as the warm front lifts them away. This afternoon we sort of dry out for a little bit. We don't have a ton of activity, just some spotty stuff here and there, but look at this. Here's by 2 o'clock, excuse me, this is by 4 o'clock this afternoon. We're starting to see some development out to our west. By 5 o'clock, notice it explodes some storms right over us, and you notice that we're starting to go from these sort of general rain callers into some hints of the red. These almost look like they could be supercells. That's concerning. That is very concerning to me. Supercells would be the primary mode today. It's not going to be a squall line that moves in. It's going to be supercells that will merge eventually into a complex of storms and move in. So definitely tornadoes are a real possibility today, along with large hail. That's what you get with supercell storms. So be weather aware today, folks. Now, and as we continue to put that radar into motion, you can see some very powerful storms hit here about 7 o'clock or so tonight and then move through. So again, anywhere the HER model is saying from about 4 to 8 o'clock or so tonight are optimal range for when that severe weather could be impressive. Now, the reason why there's still some questions on this. Well, the models are still different. The high-res NAM, not impressive about this. In fact, if I show you what the high-res NAM shows here, this is their future radar product. We'll see whether this verifies or not. The high-res NAM, just take a look at these storms just immediately out to our west and sort of dies them down and sort of skips them into Kentucky and doesn't really give us much of anything. Why is that? Well, because the Cape is not there. It stalls out the warm front sort of right along the Ohio River, and you've got the instability south of it, maybe for Evansville, but not for most anybody else. Falls off very quickly. GFS disagrees, and it brings that instability parameters more up into Indiana. Euro the same way. It brings the instability parameters even up a little bit more. You can see that with the temperature data as well. High temperatures today. Euro thinks we get to 72 in Evansville, 70 at the Huntingburg Airport, and 57 in Bloomington. You can really see the steep temperature gradient there with the warm front. The European model, it's about the same, but it's just a little bit further south with the warm front. High-res NAM, very much more south with the warm front. You can see doesn't even reach the 70s in Indiana, stays in the 60s and then falls off very quickly after that. So who's going to be right? Who's going to be wrong? Folks, the models are just that. They're models. This is what I'm going to be looking at all day. I'm going to be looking at this and tracking where these wind shifts are to identify that warm front and looking at the latest updates. I'll be looking at things like our CAPE parameters. If I just throw our CAPE parameters on here right now, by the way, the high-res NAM says that we shouldn't have any CAPE really at this point, and we're already starting to get some in. So I'm going to be relying most heavily on the HER model today, our highest res model that we have, and it does show the risk for some supercells, at least over portions of southwest Indiana today. It's concerning to me. This is a severe weather alert day, folks. I can't tell you if you're going to get one in your backyard, but I can tell you I'll be here all day tracking these storms to keep you safe. Best advice to you folks, stay weather aware. If you don't want to look at the weather all day long like I do, because you're not a weather nerd like me, I completely understand that. Don't let it interrupt your plans by any means. But be sure you go here and visit me, southernindianaweather.com, which is my website. But if you go to facebook.com/southernindianaweather, I will be posting frequent updates throughout the day. You can also find me on Twitter, twitter.com/southerninwx, at southerninwx would be my handle here, folks. So I'll be posting frequent updates throughout the day, folks. The risk is real. We have an enhanced risk for severe weather, folks, and it is going to be coming. So bottom line, folks, get prepared now. Know what your action plans would be and keep it tuned right here throughout the day for updates. That's the way things stand right now, folks. Temperatures today, I'm not even going to pull the forecast update. It's a complicated, stinking mess. Some of us will hit 75. Some of us will hit 55. I'm not even going to pull up the daggone forecast today. We're just going to track these storms today and look through them. I will say this is the last severe weather that I see for a few days at least for us. So that's a good thing. And we start to have a warming trend. Say goodbye to those 50s and 60s. Looks like we will hit the 60s and 70s again in the period. We'll talk about that more in my next video, one thing at a time. All right, folks, I'm meteorologist Michael Will. Have a great day. Stay tuned here to Southern Indiana Weather, again on Facebook and Twitter for frequent small video updates and other updates throughout the day. Stay safe, folks.